ends here.
Good thing I have a friend who owns Wii U. That system hasn't disappointed me at all with its entertaining games. Hell, I even started to play Zelda series for the first time during 2014 in rather different way than many others. But out of all Wii U games out there, my personal favorite game for the system has to be Mario Kart 8. And it's also number 8 on this list.
Ladies, ladies, if you wanna roll my Mercedes, then turn around, stick it out. Even white boys got the shout, baby got back.
I love Mario Kart games, and I even got Mario Kart 7 this year, but let's face it, Mario Kart 8 is better in every way. Plus, I played Mario Kart 7 for the first time in 2013. Moving on, Mario Kart 8 is a game that perfected the gameplay formula of Mario Kart series. It included already awesome gameplay additions from the last 2 games and also included anti-gravity sections similar to Crash Nitro Kart's tracks. This way Mario Kart 8 has so many varieties of moving in tracks. Underwater, in the sky, up and down all around, all in many new tracks and some greatly remastered old tracks. Even DLC tracks in this game are fun to play, and some of them are based on the locations from other Nintendo franchises. The game's visuals are pure eye candy, not just in Sweet Sweet Mountain or Cheese Land, and the orchestrated soundtrack is absolutely gorgeous. Nintendo even remade the music for retro tracks in this game, with my favorite remix being in Tick Tock Clock. It's so beautiful. All in all, Mario Kart 8 is a super fast game that every Wii U player should have. Seriously, it is super fast. Check out 200cc. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to pray for Wario Colosseum as DLC track. Gee, I wonder if they're putting BMWs as DLC cars.
And it ends here.
It's about goddamn time I got back into Street Fighter franchise. I think I played the series last time as 6-year-old, but I digress. The gameplay might be different compared to Namco's fighting games, but I got a hang in it quickly. That being said, the game I'm gonna talk about is a later version of Street Fighter 4. And I need to make one thing clear here. I did play a bit of a Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, which motivated me to get some version of the game myself. So my curiosity woke up when I heard that Super Street Fighter 4 also has 3DS version. So I gave it a shot, and because it's easier to master, I liked it a lot. Seriously, this game stands as one of my favorite 3DS games at the moment. But I did get my hands on Ultra Street Fighter 4 as well, and it's awesome! Yes! Okay, maybe the gameplay is way easier in Super Street Fighter 4 3D edition, but Ultra Street Fighter 4 has more characters and better graphics.
Of course!
Shut up, Bison. Gee whiz, 2 Bison memes in one segment? Moving on. Enough with the gameplay differences, let's dive into the game itself. Ultra Street Fighter 4 is a final update of SF4 with more characters added from previous titles of the series. The game's story focuses on a new international fighting tournament hosted by Shadowloo's Weapons Division SIN and its CEO, Seth.
Good. Good. I was worried it was something intimidating like Sheldon or Tim.
Anyways, all the fighters have their own personal reasons to join in the tournament, either because of Seth himself or for their own ultimate goals. Yeah, a very generic fighting game story, but at least many characters have a good side of their story in the game. In fact, in a time when SF4 and SSF4 came in, Capcom also made 2 OVAs taking place right before the game's events. I recommend watching Jury's OVA right after this video. In short, Ultra Street Fighter 4 is one of the greatest fighting games out there with one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. And let's hope SF5 will be something phenomenal. Well, maybe not as much as SF2 was.
Till next time. And it ends here.
With all Capcom franchises I got into during these past few years, and the fact I've been a Marvel fan as long as I can remember, it's gonna be pretty tough to decide which side is superior. So I think it's time to put them into the ultimate test. Oh hell yes, this is so epic! What, I expected Ultra Street Fighter 4 to be the best fighting game on this list? I am a Marvel fan, so of course this one beats the punch. Get it? Punch? Nah, forget it. Anyways, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a true marvel of a fighting game. Okay, I admit that was super lame pun. Anyways, this game, just like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, can also be described as a nerd heaven with all the references placed in the game. Next, UMVC3 has an amazing roster of playable characters such as Ryu, Wolverine, Akuma, Deadpool, Nemesis and Spider-Man. With all these great characters, you can play 3 against 3 matches that are so flashy the game even warns about the Caesars right before the title. Controls of the game are very solid and you can easily master most of the game's characters with ease. If only I could get those DLCs of the game so I can play as Jill and Shuma Gorath. Lastly, this game, like many other fighting games, has a superb soundtrack to listen with each character having his or her own theme.
Dude, this is too much to process. I'm gonna... I'm freaking out!
If you're looking for a good fighting game, find Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Also, good luck for your search. I only managed to get this game thanks to my bro's fiancé once again. All of the epicness makes UMVC3 one of the best fighting games I've ever played. Well, not as good as Evil Zone, Soul Calibur 2 and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale are. But even still, this is one of the prime examples how to make a crossover game correctly, and this is the best Capcom game I played during 2014. If there's ever gonna be MVC4, I wish for Jury and Carnage as playable characters.
You have saved the Earth! I now must squash you like the bug that you are! You win!
Just like a training program.
Nah, who am I kidding? Marvel's always the superior one.
And it ends here.
Now that Capcom games are out of the way, let's take a look at another great game developer. Platinum Games. Like, come on! Their games are simply said fucking amazing to say the least. With Anarchy Reigns being the first Platinum game I played, and that made 2 honorable mentions. Then I got my chance to play Metal Gear series for the first time with the Dish Best third code. Revengeance. Holy shit, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is another game I got interested in thanks to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. And this game did not disappoint me at all. You play a super badass Raiden whose sword can even rival Wolverine's adamantium claws. As a Metal Gear game and a Platinum game, the gameplay in Revengeance is a combination of hack and slash and a pinch of stealth. And the stealth part works like in the Metal Gear Solid games with hiding inside cardboard boxes and barrels. One wrong move and then...
All units, we have a code red.
You play the game in chapters where there's a lot of combat and superb bosses to deal with, and has a delicious secret ingredient called epic boss teams. You know, fuck Polygon Man. Armstrong's my favorite final boss of all time now. But it doesn't mean I won't include Polygon Man in my top 10 final bosses again. Even the game's DLC stories are fun to play. You get to play as Jetstream Sam and Blade Wolf in stories that take place before Raiden met them. Sure, those stories are very short, but they're worth your time. Even if Kamsin is a bit annoying boss like Monsoon is. Many other countdown makers have already made clear how awesome this game is, so I really don't need to say anything else. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a total badass game which every hack and slash gamer should try, even those who aren't Metal Gear fans. And can you believe this isn't my favorite game made by Platinum Games?
Say what?
Nope. There's one game even more awesome than Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. What is it? Let's have a look. But first,
Nanomachine, son.
I had to do that.
No, you didn't. I did because I'm editing this shit.
You know what I meant.
And it ends here.
Bayonetta! After how great Witch Gruntilda was in N64 era, it took so many years to make the next famous video game Witch. Before that we only got the one who gave boobs for Bowser.
I'm sexy!
In Bayonetta's case, oh boy, Platinum Games pulled the witch concept into the whole new level with this one. Bayonetta, like many other games made by Platinum, is violent action hack and slash game. This game is pretty much like Devil May Cry series, but demons are replaced with angels, and instead of main character who's intentionally hot for female gamers, this game's main character is intentionally created to be incredibly sexy lady and was created by a woman. The difference between DMC and Bayonetta. How the enemies are killed. The angels can be killed by striptease, instruments of torture, and with monsters created by Bayonetta's hair. Speaking of hair, that skin-tight outfit Bayonetta's wearing is actually part of her hairdo. And whenever she uses her spells, you get the picture. Yeah, Bayonetta's methods are more creative than Dante's, but Dante has more flair and style. Either way, the enemies die and they all end up remains of that day. Aside from Bayonetta herself, there's also a few other likable characters like Luca and another witch, Jean. Sure, the game has few similarities to Devil May Cry series, and plot of the game focuses on a main character with amnesia, but who fucking cares? This is Bayonetta we're talking about! A game where you fight astonishing divine bosses for Jubileus' sake. And the soundtrack, oh god, the soundtrack is as fitting as possible for the game like this. In conclusion, Bayonetta's the best game Platinum has ever done. Well, maybe the sequel's even better, but I don't know because I don't have Wii U. But anyways, with the game's unique combat system, dazzling soundtrack and divine bosses, Bayonetta's one of the prime examples of a successful hack and slash game. I pick Bayonetta over Dante anytime. There you have it, folks, a game that shows you not to fuck with the witch.
Oh, look at her gross boobs.
And it ends here.
Even if Rare is not doing the games for this series anymore, Donkey Kong Country Returns is still as good as its Super Nintendo precursors. Specifically, I'm referring to 3DS port of the game, which has more stuff to do than in Wii version. For starters, the game has few new levels to deal with, and for beginners, a slightly easier difficulty to choose from. But there's also an option for Wii version's difficulty, so no worries! Next, the story. It's same as always, the bananas are stolen and DK Duo goes after the fiends. But this time there's tikis in business, not gremlins. No, I said gremlins, not gremlins. No, that's Grublin. No, that's Grumpig. No, that's Lawrence Limburger.
No! This is Patrick!
There you go. Was it that hard to get it right? No, where was I? Ah, yes. The gameplay is a simple platforming with usual DK formula with many secrets hidden in stages and very challenging worlds to go through. Few classic characters return as well, such as Cranky Kong and Rambi. DKCR 3D is one successfully done port of an already amazing console platforming game. I'm still waiting for that Tropical Freeze port for 3DS, FYI. Hurry up with that! Now I need to have a small break. I want some bananas too.
And it ends here.
You know, I never imagined that 2014 games could be this good when I came up with the idea of doing this topic. I mean, the top 2 games on this list are now in my personal top 10 favorite games list. Scratch that, top 5 favorite games list. At number 2, we need to take a trip in Hoenn. Sweet Jesus, am I dreaming or is this the perfect Pokemon game? If so, then I'm impressed and this is a fucking remake! Pokemon Omega Ruby is 3DS's greatest accomplishment by a long shot. As a remake of already unbelievably successful Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance, Omega Ruby includes all qualities that made Gen 3 games so good and so much more. Too much water in Hoenn? Never been that much of a problem to me. We all know about the Pokemon contests of Ruby and Sapphire. Let's talk about the qualities that perfected Gen 3 games' quality. First off, ever since Gen 4, there's been a proper separation of physical and special attacks which was still missing in Gen 3 era. Next, the Gen 6's new additions of Fairy types, Horde battles, and Mega Evolutions to make Journey Across Hoenn more exciting experience. Speaking of Mega Evolutions, that also gives new features to have more content in story, such as Legend of the Weather Trio members to have new forms and Mega Evolution. Not to mention, many important characters of the story now have Mega Stones to make their battles more intense. Even the post-game content has many things in it and even has a separate sub-story after defeating the champion. But I'm not giving spoilers about Delta episode. Yet! Try to find all the legendaries in the game. Omega Ruby has a lot of legendaries to find, most of which seem to appear from strange portals. And I have a pretty clear idea what's responsible for those portals. A Pokemon with a name that starts with H and ends in Uva. It's very obvious, it's Volcanion of course! Another great additions in the game are locating specific Pokemon with Dex Nav and sneak in the spot they're in. And there's also soaring in the sky with Latias or Latios to locate mirage spots where you can find many different Pokemon. Lastly, the game has one of the best soundtracks ever put in a video game or anything else. Sure, I admit I was a bit disappointed that many legendaries had their themes taken directly from the previous games of the series, but at least they're good to listen anyways. Final verdict, Pokemon Omega Ruby is a perfect remake. A perfect remake. It used everything that made Ruby and Sapphire so great in the first place and added many good qualities of the later games to perfect the Pokemon formula. And at long last I had a shiny Metagross to destroy everything. And it even got Mega Evolution! But the question is, what could possibly beat this magnificence? Before we get there, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Well, they saved the last game for last, didn't they? Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix was my most anticipated game to get ever since Kingdom Hearts 1.5 was released. And this collection did not disappoint me in the slightest. But since I played Kingdom Hearts 2 before and Recoded only has cutscenes to watch, that leaves Birds by Sleep Final Mix to try. And it's absolutely gorgeous! Bayonetta had great combat system, DKCR 3D was an excellent port, and Omega Ruby was just awesome. But Birds by Sleep is all of these. Seriously, this game is everything I expected from it. Great level design, gorgeous soundtrack, simple and clean combat system, pun intended. And top of all, the superb story which takes place 10 years before the events of first Kingdom Hearts game. In fact, like Chain of Memories, this game has more than one story, with a chance to play the game's story with either Terra, Aqua or Ventus. Terra's gameplay mainly focuses on using brute force in combat and stories about Terra trying to control the darkness inside him. Aqua's combat is mainly for using spells, and her story is about her doing her duties as the new Keyblade Master to watch over Terra and bringing Ventus back home. Ventus, on the other hand, is more balanced Keyblade wielder who's seeking answers about himself and the mysterious masked boy Vanitas, with all these stories leading all three main characters into final confrontation in Keyblade Graveyard against Master Xehanort and Vanitas. And after getting all Xehanort's reports, you unlock one final story like in Sonic games of last decade. Next, the game's worlds. If there's one way to describe the worlds of the game, thank God they brought many good ones like Dwarf Woodlands and Deep Space. And all of these worlds had pretty good bosses to deal with. Sure, maybe Kingdom Hearts 2 has way better worlds than in this game, but at least they're very enjoyable in this game. Except Olympus Colosseum, which was absolute garbage in Birds by Sleep. And as always, Yoko Shimomura's composed soundtrack sounds undeniably amazing. These reasons easily make Kingdom Hearts Birds by Sleep, along with the rest of the HD 2.5 remix, as my third favorite game of all time. Sorry PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, but you're now at number 4 with Pokémon Omega Ruby. I'm nifinland, and let's hope we get to play other excellent games in 2015. In fact, I already have! Time to play the huge pile of games. Catch ya later!
Hey guys, the Omni-Slayer here, and boy was this exhausting to do. Grabbing footage from a lot of games, movies and TV shows is a lot more tiring and frustrating than it needs to be. Especially when one of the games I had to get for the list was Five Nights at Freddy's. Thanks a lot for the nightmares, buddy. But in all seriousness, the footage gathering was worth the frustration, since I had a lot of fun editing this countdown and everyone seemed to love part 1 of the list. And that's pretty much the best feeling anyone can have. When you work really hard and put your entire body and soul into your work, and then hearing people praise your work is just the greatest reward anyone can have. Which makes all the frustrating moments like the previously mentioned footage gathering and also some technical issues preventing you from working on the video, or even worse, deleting most of the stuff you spent hours making, all worth the trouble. Yeah, that can happen at times and you feel like throwing your laptop out of the window in anger, but when you're really dedicated to the stuff that you do, you don't let any minor setbacks get in the way and fight to get your work done and get rewarded in the end. And that's what true dedication really is. Speaking of which, I need to finish my own countdown. Already got the script finished after all, so see you guys when it's done. Also, one more thing. Incoming ant joke!
Die, potato!